MVP News is brought to you by Infinity Action Sports. Infinity Action Sports is a veteran-owned and operated custom sporting goods shop for quality sports uniforms, apparel, and equipment. They provide top-of-the-line products for individuals and teams, youth and adult. Head over to infinityactionsports.com and browse their inventory of jerseys, hoodies, gloves, and bats. Or use the custom tab to create the perfect individualized uniform for your team or event. Make sure to enter promo code MVP at checkout for 10% off, specially marked sale items excluded. Infinity Action Sports is MVP's only trusted source for sports apparel. Click on the link in the description to shop.
Welcome to MVP News, where we get real about football. And now to your hosts, Mike Pagano and Paul Helmers.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to MVP News. I'm Mike Pagano. I'm with Paul Helmers. It's Wednesday, the midweek update. We got Monday Night Football to talk about, a bunch of news to talk about. What's going on, Paul?
Hey, Mike, a little birdie talked to me today and said MVP News was having a big day.
Oh, we're having a really big day.
I heard one person in particular on MVP News was having a big day.
Oh, this isn't what I thought we were going down. What are you talking about?
Well, I heard that someone turned another year older today.
Oh, you're lucky I don't have a button to stop the curse words. Yes. Today is my birthday. I am 31 years old. I thought you were going into what we have to reveal later on, but nope, you wanted to be that kind of guy. But yes. Yeah,
well, it's like an extra surprise on your birthday too.
Yeah, no, but we do have incredible stuff to announce today. I'm excited. I'm definitely excited about it. But before we get into the football games and the announcements and everything like that, I heard that you had a little rumor mill.
I do have a couple things. Rumor has it the 49ers have brought in 3 quarterbacks to work out.
What
which,
three?
3 were Tom Savage and TJ Yates, and the third one was someone equally as not memorable as them. So not memorable, I don't even remember who it was.
I feel so bad for Niners fans. They just had Jimmy G, and Jimmy G's not really playing out to what we thought he would be, Mr. 6-0 and all that. But regardless, he was at least solid enough where you felt comfortable.
Right.
I feel so sorry for them because that's the worst, to lose your guy, and then what do you got? And I kind of feel bad for as we know, I call him Beat Hard, because he's watching them bring in these bums. I'm gonna say it, bums, and they're obviously coming in to back him up. I get that,
right?
But they're bums, and I don't know. I just wouldn't want them in there.
Basically, the 49ers only have 2 quarterbacks on the roster, and with Jimmy Garoppolo hitting IR, they have to bring in someone else because otherwise they're down to emergency quarterback.
Yeah,
and I don't know who they got for that. So Richard Sherman.
Yeah, he's a pretty good one. What else do you got for us? I knew that there was something else that you had for us that was kind of interesting.
Well, this one is really important, but the Cleveland Browns have named Baker Mayfield the starting quarterback this week.
That's not at all important. I thought you had real news. Yes, Baker Mayfield, the what's that team? Division 1, right? Or Browns. That's it. The Browns, they're an NFL team?
Yeah.
Okay. They named Baker Mayfield their starting quarterback. No, but on a serious note, a lot of people were wondering when this was going to happen, and they were like, Hugh Jackson better do it or else he's going to get fired. And guys, he's not going to do that while Tyrod is sitting there with, whatever the concussion protocol entails. They're going to let the man come out, sit down, get called into the office the next day. Hugh has a conversation with him and says, look, old vet, the young scrap is ready to go. It's his team now. We're moving forward. Thank you so much for everything that you've done. We need you to back him up. They don't want Tyrod to be laying there holding his head, looking up at NFL Network, and it says Hugh Jackson announces Baker Mayfield's a starter. Like, so this was going to happen. It's not a surprise. Yay.
Now, there is something else that I wanted to bring up that I didn't tell you about yet. This one's a surprise.
What would that be?
So you mentioned the Cleveland Browns. They are, in fact, an NFL team.
Debatable, but go ahead.
They are so much an NFL team that they are currently above the Seattle Seahawks in the standings.
No, I did not know you were going to go down that route. Let me show you guys something. As the host of this, I have a button that mutes him, but I really don't want to talk to myself. So actually, I'm not going to. But no. Yes, you have that for one more week. One more.
Really? Because when I look at it, the Browns are going to run in and beat the Raiders. So I have it for at least another week.
Hey, pump your brakes. Friday is the pick show. Let's not go diving into the pick show already.
Okay, so last rumor is, can I get a drum roll? No, don't do that. I'm just kidding. Jameis Winston is rumored to have a burner account.
Really? So Jameis Winston, the backup quarterback of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Well, we don't know yet. We don't know yet. No announcement's been made. Dirk Cutter has told, apparently.
Well, you can't be the starter while there's a starter. I don't care what you call him. You cannot be the starter while Fitzy's starting.
Cutter has named his starter. He has told his quarterbacks who the starter is going to be, but has not announced to the public yet.
Yeah, but we know who it is. And we're going to talk about that when we get to the Monday Night Football. Tell me more about this burner account, though.
This burner account. So it all starts with Twitter handle at JohnnyU02807149. So random Twitter name. Responding to CBS Sports Network. Basically, CBS Sports Network is tweeting about how Jameis Winston isn't a lock to be the starter immediately when he gets back. And Johnny U tweets, Winston ain't re-signing in Tampa. You're going to bench me for Fitzpatrick, LOL. Trade me or release me. And for him to say me just seems like it's less likely that it's a random person talking as if they are Jameis Winston. It seems more likely that it's him talking about himself.
See, my question is, what is he doing? Like, bro, you're an NFL quarterback. What are you sitting there like? Did they say that?
Hey, this isn't
like,
new.
Stop being a child. Yeah, I know these guys do it, but it's like, come on, man. Come on. Like, you're getting worked up and you got to be like, bench me or trade me. Shut up. Why don't you go out there and prove it? Why don't you not get in trouble? Why don't you not throw interceptions? Why don't you be
Stop groping Uber drivers?
Yeah. Why don't you be a professional? And why don't you take them W's and eat them W's? I mean, because right now you eat an L. You eating them L's. That's what you're doing right now. All right. So now, you okay?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right. There we go. Moving on to better things. What do we have else there? Is there any other in the rumor mill?
No, I think that's pretty much it right now.
All right. So next up, we've got the Monday Night Football game, Steelers, Tampa. Speaking of Tampa, seeing that Jameis Winston is the backup quarterback in Tampa, we have Big Ben coming in, winning the game. They took a 24-point lead in the second quarter. Not 24-point lead. They dropped 24 in the second quarter. They were up 30-10, I believe, right at the half. Now, Fitzpatrick was able to come back, swoop in, do some magic, and get close. It ended 30-27. He just didn't do enough to actually get the win, and he had an opportunity. He had a chance, but Fitzpatrick threw 3 interceptions in the the second quarter, one of which was a pick six. And may I add, he also threw a pass that was caught and fumbled. So, I mean, it's not his, but it's still another turnover. So that's a 4th turnover in the second quarter. The second quarter was a terrible quarter for them. But Fitzpatrick did pass for 411 yards, give or take. Regardless, that's 3 400 games in a row. That is an NFL record that nobody has ever came close to, Paul.
In the entire history, you're trying to tell me that Drew Brees has never thrown for 400 in 3 straight games?
Yeah, something's not right here. I think Drew must have had a bye week or something when he was gonna do it. I don't know. That doesn't make sense. Right. That Peyton, Tom, nobody in their greatest years, Aaron, nobody has thrown for 400 yards in 3 games. But hey, it happened. Fitzpatrick holds that, and now he could end up getting another game with 400 yards. Make it 4 games. I don't know. But all in all,
judging that he does stay the starter.
Yeah, that's 100%. And let me tell you what I saw. Now, in this game, yes, Fitzpatrick made mistakes, and we knew he was going to come back down to earth. We knew that is who Fitzpatrick is, but at the same time, he did so with elegance. Now, what I mean by that is he held his head. He kept going. He threw for 411 yards. He, in my eyes, took that position and earned the starting position yesterday because every quarterback makes mistakes. Every quarterback throws picks. But what we saw last night is through that, he will continue to be successful because I've watched Jameis Winston, and Jameis Winston throws picks, but not the 400 yards. So you got 2 options. Fitzpatrick throwing 3 picks and 400 yards, or Winston throwing 3 picks and 190 yards. I'll take the 400 yards.
I think you're underselling Jameis Winston a little bit here. I mean, he does have a couple of 4,500-yard seasons or so under his belt. Are you
what?
Calling me a liar?
I'd have to call the analytics people up and get that information real quick because I don't believe that. Did he have 4,500-yard seasons?
Let me just bring up Jameis Winston's career stats real quick
on
the old YouTube. Okay, so Jameis Winston came in the league. So I lied.
I know you did. Slightly. He passed for 3,600 yards.
In the league. Last year, he threw for 3,500, right? Last year was a down year. He missed a couple of games with injury. But in 2015, his rookie season, he still threw for 4,000. He threw for 4,000 again in 2016. And last year, he had a down year. So, I mean, I think you're saying 190.
How many picks?
More like 300. How many interceptions? Picks? 15 as a rookie, 18 in the second year, and 11 last year.
Well, he didn't play a lot. I mean, the whole season last year.
Right. But 15 and 18 aren't bad, especially when you consider he was a 22 to 15 ratio and a 28 to 18 ratio.
22 to 15? So touchdowns, interceptions.
As a rookie.
That's terrible.
And what's the record? What's a rookie record for passing touchdowns? Is it 24?
Well, no, it's 28, held by Russell Wilson.
Yeah, I knew you'd know what it was. I was just saying. So it's 28. So he's 6 touchdowns short.
Yeah, but not Russell Wilson didn't have almost a 1-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio. That's my problem. You said 22 out of and then 15 interceptions. So
yeah, 22 to 15.
So for every 1.5 touchdowns he threw a pick.
I'm not trying to say that Jameis Winston is Russell Wilson caliber. That's not what I'm saying. I like Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson is a Hall of Famer. I'm not saying this. What I'm getting at is Jameis Winston is not a bad quarterback.
I'm not a fan. I think that he's going to be gone next year. I think that Tampa is going to be searching for a new quarterback in the draft, and Fitzpatrick's going to hold that. What?
So where's Jameis going?
The free agency.
Yeah. So what team's going to sign him? The Cowboys?
That is very interesting. I hope not. Speaking of Cowboys, no, that's not at all what our transition would be. But all in all, though, no, I want to go ahead and just talk about the game, though, because obviously Jameis Winston is not really worth our time, and I'm a little upset I talked about him that much. I tried to jump out of it as fast as possible, like, ugh. But I think Fitzpatrick solidified his position last night. I think he did a really well job at doing that with the adversity. Big Ben looked like Big Ben. Big Ben was able to do good. I mean, 30 for 39, 353 yards.
So he did look good, but what I want to say about the Steelers is that when you talk about, you just said it was 30-10 at the end of the first half, right? So they didn't score a single point in the second half.
Not a single.
Not only that, but most of their points were scored in that second quarter, where
with those turnovers,
right?
No, that's a good point.
Who was the real show of the Steelers on Monday night? It sure wasn't Big Ben. I mean, yeah, he looked good, but nobody's saying Tampa Bay's defense is great, right?
Yeah, no.
So I don't know. But on top of that too, they looked really sloppy, and I think what really kept Tampa Bay in the game was all the penalties. The Steelers are the most penalized team in the league this year so far, with 12 penalties in week 1 against the Browns, 12 again in week 2 against the Chiefs, and they were penalized 13 times for 155 yards on Monday night.
Oh my goodness. Are you serious? I did not know that. That was not something that was on my show map because I didn't have that information written down. So that's kind of a shocker. For them to win a game with penalties like that, that's really a shocker. You normally don't win those games. I would know this as a Seahawks fan because we're normally one of the most penalized teams in the season. And on games like that, we don't win them because you just put yourself in completely terrible positions. So for them to do that, that's incredible. But, I mean, this season has been a funky penalty season. As you know, and we've had this discussion on the last episode. I mean, this discussion is happening on every major sports show, from First Take to Undisputed, to First Things First, to Inside the NFL, to Good Morning America Football, whatever that show's called. It's the penalties. Right now, there has been 34 roughing the passer penalties in 3 weeks. Last season, there was only 109. We still have 14 weeks to go, and we have 34 of the penalties. I mean, we're on pace for something to blow that out. That 109, that's going to get blown out completely, and that's just the roughing the passer. But the roughing the passer, that's a 15-yard penalty, automatic first down. That's one of the worst next to pass interference. That's the worst penalty you can get. And I mean, yeah, that's just
roughing the kicker probably too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We had one of those against the Dallas Cowboys. Oh, that makes me upset. Actually, we had running it to the kicker, which no matter what, if you're beyond 5 yards, then whatever, who cares? But
no, because running into isn't that still an automatic first down?
No, that's 5 yards.
Oh, that's only 5. So roughing is an automatic.
That's an automatic. But if you're fourth and 6 and you run into the kicker, it'll be 4th and 1. They can go for it now. So I mean, it does change the game up, or they're just going to decline it and let the kick go, or they get to redo the kick in case they want to try and pin you in the the coffin corner. No. So the penalty though, the roughing the passers, it's a game changer. We saw it in week 2, or was it week 1? Vikings, Green Bay. We saw it
week 2.
Week 2, yeah. We've been seeing it nonstop, and we've been seeing the injuries already. Don't
forget week 3 with the Packers and
they still got that drive actually still ended in a punt, so it wasn't a game changer, but it did impact the game no matter what though, because it's getting into Clay's head. So that's something that we're also not talking about. This is getting in Clay's head. It's getting in these defenders' heads. And I'm wondering if it's going to affect how they rush the quarterback. If you have a mental block restraining you a little bit because you don't want to hit them with everything you got, that can affect the pass rusher. I don't know, but Khalil Mack's obviously not being affected.
That's what I was going to say. If you look at Khalil Mack, Von Miller, guys like that, guys that are who are top in the league at that rushing position, those guys aren't getting penalized. And I've heard that Khalil Mack and Von Miller kind of go for the ball instead of going for the hit. And I guess maybe that's what the difference is. But if you go for the ball, what happens when they move the ball? Do you miss the sack? Or are they going for the ball and the hit?
Yeah.
or I don't know. Either way, neither one of them seems to be the type of guy who's trying to kill the quarterback. They want the sack, they want to change the game, they want the stat, and they want to move on. They want to get back in the huddle, and they want to do it again.
Exactly. Now, one thing I do want to mention is it really caught my ear when I heard it. Shannon Sharp was talking on Undisputed, and he mentioned that he stopped by the team hotel room for the Chargers, some guys that he knew from back in his playing days. I believe they're in the coaching staff. And he asked them, how are you guys addressing this? How are you guys attacking this rule and training for it and practicing for it? And what they said was they are practicing in a sense of how they will be hitting the quarterback, but instead of diving into him and trying to go into him, pull the quarterback onto them so that the quarterback falls on top of them. I find this to be truly interesting, and it's really a smart way to handle it. Will it always work? If you miss that jersey, or if your fingers, if you slip off of him, well, then, he can get away easily. So it does have some errors in it, but you never have to worry about a penalty if you pull the quarterback on you. So that's a good thing. I don't know. It could work. Oh, no, I think it's a mixture. I think that the penalty's smart. It does protect the most valuable asset in the NFL, the quarterback. But I think the refs are being a little bit too picky in it. And if you ask me,
well, what are you asking them to do? Make a judgment call to see if someone meant to drop their weight down, or if they just did drop their weight down?
I mean, I can't honestly articulate what I'm trying to say because a lot of people can't. But I can tell you that even the competition committee is not happy. Several members of the committee are complaining about it, and they pushed the rule. They are the ones that brought the rule to the table, and even they're saying, "Wait a minute, this is not what we intended." So a lot of people are saying it. I don't know.
But who's on the competition committee that's saying this?
Oh, I don't know.
I can bet you that Mark Murphy, the CEO of the Green Bay Packers, is probably saying something about it.
Yeah, he might be on there saying that as well. I know you've got Ozzie Newsome. I know that you've got you got a
Stephen Jones is on there too. The Cowboys that got hit with one of these penalties this week. So
yeah, but in the same game, the Seahawks got hit by it. In every game that it's happening to both.
Yeah, but wait.
It's happening to both teams.
Was a little different because Dak flopped on that call.
Yeah, Dak so flopped on that call.
And that wasn't even that wasn't for the same reason. That roughing wasn't for the same reason.
No. But I think that they're calling all roughing the passer a little tight this year. I'm talking when I gave you my stat of how many penalties we've had, that wasn't just penalties of
they definitely
are falling on top of them. So no. And when Dak flopped, they said, "Oh."
Well, and Ben Roethlisberger flopped too on Monday night. He got like tapped in the helmet.
He's a drama queen.
And then just like rolled on the ground.
He's a drama queen.
What, Ben?
Yeah, big drama queen.
Come on.
Super.
Ben Roethlisberger is the last bastion in tough NFL players.
See, that's what he wants you to think, and that's where his genius is. Let me explain something to you about Ben. Ben always wants you to know how injured he is so that he can play through it. He'll be like, "Oh, Ben," he releases it. He goes to the media like, "Yeah, I got a broken finger." They're like, "Oh my goodness, Ben's gonna play through a broken finger." He's not even hurt out there. He puts a fake splint on it and just goes out and throws 3 touchdowns. And he's like, "Yeah, I played through a broken finger." I swear, Ben and Aaron Rodgers are the biggest drama queens in the NFL.
I would be interested to hear who your sources on this information is.
My eyes. No, but seriously, he's always injured. Like, it's a drama queen. But I've got some sources that just can't share them because they're
journalistic integrity, right?
I can't let them know, that and things like that. It's sort of like this. They are, I don't know, I have nothing to say. Just like the Cowboys have nothing to do in any of these games offensively. So next thing I would love to talk about, bada bing, bada boom, check out that segue right there, is...
That was pro.
That was. I mean, sponsors, go ahead and email us at mvpnews2018@gmail.com. So on a serious note, I'd love to talk to you about the Cowboys, Paul. Now, before we dive into it, I want to introduce something. We mentioned in the beginning of the show that this show was going to be announcing something. Now, if you've noticed, one difference about this show than other shows is we're having fun here. It's the Wednesday show. Me and Paul wanted to loosen up and just kind of let loose with you guys today. We didn't want to be so strict, 297 yards and 3 touchdowns and 4 interceptions and blah, 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 98 quarterback rating. We didn't want to be like that today. We wanted to have fun with you guys, and we're introducing a new segment. So, as you know, here at MVP News, we give you 3 episodes a week. We've got recaps. We've got predictions. We've got news updates, injury updates. We'll talk anything from fantasy to, whatever. And our goal is to cover the entire NFL, all the teams, everything going on, because that's what we love. And we know that you want to hear it all. You don't want to get just caught talking about Tom Brady. That's like some of these outlets do. But we also understand that everybody once in a while wants to see things about their own team. They want to hear things about their own team. I'm guilty. I YouTube it all the time. Seattle news, Seattle Seahawks. It could be the Monday after the Seahawks played the Cowboys. I want to hear what people talked about that game. So what we are introducing going forward is every single Wednesday, we will be bringing on a person from a specific channel that they have on YouTube with anywhere from 5,000 to 50,000 subscribers that does this for a living, providing content for their specific team. And that episode, we will talk about that team. So me and Paul, we will dive into that team, and then we will bring that person onto the show to also share. So you're going to get a bunch of information on that team. You're going to hear from the fans' perspective. You've heard of 15 minutes of fame. This is 15 minutes of fan. You're going to hear it from what the hardcore fans feel, what they're seeing out there on the field, and what they're, getting out of this season. Also, you'll be introduced to them. So if you want to go watch them later on, you'll know where to find them because, like I said, we do everything NFL. We're not going to sit there and break down the Cowboys. I want you to go to the guy's channel. And his fans, if they want all the NFL they can have, come on to MVP News. So this week we've got a gentleman named Darius from Okoye Media, and we're going to go ahead and clip over to his interview here in a minute. But before we do, Paul and I are going to talk a little bit about what we think about the Cowboys this year. I'm going to let Paul go first.
All right. The Cowboys look okay this year. They don't look great. They don't look good offensively. They look really good defensively, but they're 1-2, and they show no signs of winning 9 to 10 more games, winning the division, making a deep playoff run. We're looking more like maybe they win 6 more games. I mean, that's what it looks like to me. That's what I would cap them at this moment in time. Now, teams can always look better.
I wouldn't give them over 7.
I mean, at this point in time, that's what I'm saying. I would say 7 wins right now. Now, Let's say this week they go out and prove us all wrong and Dak Prescott throws for 300 yards and they look awesome. Then obviously I'm going to bump that up. But right now, I would say 7's a max.
Yeah, and honestly, it's because and here's where I'm with it, and you're going to see this in the interview that we have here in a second, but I honestly think it's a lot bigger than just a single player or anything like that. I think the coaching is a heavy factor in this. I think that right now, if you're a Cowboys fan, what you should be wanting is a miniature rebuild, not a full-on rebuild. You obviously don't want them to implode like Seattle tried to do this offseason, which thank God we walked out of that alive because we look fine right now. We don't look that great. We look like we have issues, but there was an implosion. We fired everybody. People were sent home with boxes in their hands. Like things got crazy. But you kind of need that right now. You kind of need to get rid of a certain somebody. Garrett.
Maybe 2.
Maybe 3. Can we get rid of owners? But on a serious note, we're going to go ahead and flip this over to our interview with Okoye Media. Okoye. Darius, I apologize. And then we're going to come right back to this. We're going to finish the show out. So you guys enjoy the interview. All right, guys, what's going on? This is Mike Pagano. I'm over here with Darius from Okoye Media. Paul and myself have had the luxury to sit down and speak to him with our new segment. We want to reach out to fans for specific teams because when you deal with us, you're dealing with a wide view. but some of you guys, you want to hear from your fellow fans. So we're finding the most hardcore fans for each team. This week, we're starting off the way you have to start off with the Cowboys because they call themselves America's team.
It's America's team, right?
Exactly.
So-called, right?
So-called
America's
they're
team.
always in the media, regardless if it's a good year or a bad year. So what better way to start off everything? So Darius, how's it going? What's going on, boss? How can people find you?
Well, you can go out. First off, I appreciate you guys bringing me on and recognizing. So number one, I thank you guys for that. But you guys can find me on YouTube at Okoye Media. So you can just type in AKOYE Media, and you'll find a slew of my videos there. Same name on Facebook, and also Twitter as well. So if you guys are interested in a I don't know if I can curse, but a trash talking Cowboys fan. You can definitely watch some of my stuff. I do a lot of breakdowns. I do a lot of reaction videos, things like that.
Definitely. And that's the purpose of this. I mean, we get widespread with things and we talk about every game, but we don't really get to focus hard on one team. And that's why we wanted to really bring this up. So every week we can do so. So let's go ahead and dive right into it because we don't want to take up too much of your time. Let's talk about these Dallas Cowboys. Now, everybody that's watching knows I'm a Seahawks fan. I'm going to leave that at the table right now. I'm not going to come with that trash talking right now, but
no, you earned it. You can do it. You earned it. I talk a lot of trash, so I got thick skin, man. So if you earn it, you earn it. Let's go ahead and do it, man.
Honestly, we didn't beat you on Sunday. You beat yourself. And the reason I say that
now I know you're an honest man.
Yeah, and the reason I say that is because Dak is wearing cuffs out there. Dak is not being allowed to do anything. I think it's 9 out of the 11 last games. He's been under 200 yards. I mean, what are you feeling about your QB right now? Are you feeling like he is that franchise QB? Or I've heard people talking about, is it possible time to draft someone? Remember, he was drafted in the 4th round, so he actually has a 4-year contract instead of a 5. So this is his last year. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I think that, again, I said this before, but I think we can actually win games with Dak, but it has to be a perfect storm, meaning we can't play from behind because he doesn't have the gunslinger mentality. I don't even want to say the arm because he can get the ball out. He's shown that he can do it from time to time, but he hasn't done it consistently enough for me to feel confident, or him to even feel confident in his ability to get the ball out there when we're behind. So that limits us. And the key word that you said earlier was we haven't allowed. If you mean the defenses haven't allowed Dak to do anything, I would agree. Or Dak himself hasn't allowed himself to do anything. But I don't think it's more so a limitation set upon him by our coordinator, Linehan. I'm not protecting Linehan at all because I don't really like him either. But I mean, I'm fair. I call a spade, and I see when I look at the film, even though I'm not a coach, I'm not a scout, but when I look at the all 22 film, I see men running open and Dak, for whatever reason, not hitting them, whether it be the line may break down at times, which it does, or he just sees them and doesn't feel that he can get the ball out there fast enough. So I would like to see him take some chances, throw some interceptions. Doesn't matter. Just take some chances down the field, man. Look at Ryan Fitzpatrick. This guy's supposed to be a journeyman. He's been on 7 different teams. And he comes in and he has no fear because he has nothing to lose. I think Dak plays like a guy who doesn't want to get his ball taken.
And he does. It is a very conservative play, but when I say it feels like they're limiting them, I don't see them going out and getting them anybody. I mean, if you look at the money that was lost, they cut Dez to save money, but they really didn't save a single dollar with the money that he took anyway.
Not at all.
And with other contract extensions. So it's the dead money was there. They didn't go out and get anybody for him. Jerry wouldn't move on the defense to get Earl. I'm saying it feels like they're limiting him because they're really not giving him much to work with. I mean, his 2 best receivers are short guys. They can't really get, big. They can't body for the ball like Dez can. Now, granted, I'm not defending Dez. Like, I understand he's gone, but
right.
I don't believe you guys have the proper pieces. And if you're going to run Dak, I mean, if you're only going to run Zeke 16 times a game, then you got to give him someone to throw to. You better put the ball in Zeke's hand 25 times if that's what the options are going to be.
Yeah, but it's a numbers game though. So you have to look at it this way. Like when people talk about how we run Zeke, Zeke had a horrible game too in Seattle. I mean, I would say this game in particular, I'm less mad at Dak than I am Zeke. And the reason I say that is, Dak's body of work has kind of, led to where we are right now with him. It wasn't the Seattle game alone. But Zeke in this particular game, if this were just in a vacuum, if we were judging in a vacuum, Zeke had a horrible game. He had a lot of miscues, a lot of uncharacteristic plays, and that cost us. We could have still won this game, and then we probably wouldn't be sitting here talking about Dak, even if he did put up, 120 yards passing, 160 yards passing, whatever, right? But so with that said, I think that it's more of a team loss this particular game.
Oh, definitely.
But
I agree.
yeah, but with Dak overall, I really I feel like they're moving the goal. You guys are ex-Marines, right? So if I were moving your target, you might hit it from time to time, and you might hit it consistently because you're trained to do that. But I feel like we keep moving the excuse for Dak. Last year, the excuse was Dez. He was a number one receiver, and I believe he still is. And now they got rid of him, and they said, "Hey, we don't need a number one because this Dak friendly offense by committee is where it's at."
Yeah, they'll get the
Now
ball
we're
to
saying,
everybody.
right now we're saying none of these guys can play. We need a guy in here who can get them, who we can force the ball to again. So it's like we can't keep moving the mark with Dak Prescott. It's either he's either putting up numbers or he's not, and you have to keep in mind he's putting up 160. He's averaging 160 yards per game over the last 11 games. And if you take out the Giants,
The one play in the
debacle
Giants.
last year,
Oh,
yeah, he had Dez on a slant last year. He had Beasley on a slant that went to the house, and he had Rod Smith on a slant that went to the house. So it wasn't like he tore them apart for 300 yards either. It just so happened that he had guys that broke free because we were playing practice squad players on a team that had already hung it up for the year. So with that said, if you X the Giants game out, with that touchdown performance, Dak hasn't really shown that he can do it. And this is the passing era. So throwing 160 in the 90s with Troy Aikman and those guys,
yeah, that made sense.
yeah,
right. That's great.
169 when you got guys who can't stay on a team like Fitzpatrick, or you have rookies or pseudo rookies like Mahomes. I still call him a rookie because he didn't play last year. But you have guys who are getting their first game experience, who are lighting it up. You have Baker Mayfield, who comes in a half and puts up 200 yards on 23 attempts and 17 completions. Like, hey, these guys are making you look very bad. So
Paul,
that's what my issue is.
Paul, I heard Jerry Jones 2 weeks ago on his radio show say that Dak is a mixture between Cam Newton and Jared Goff. What do you feel about? Do you think Jerry's gassing up his guy, or do you think Jerry truly believes that?
It's hard to say what Jerry really does believe, but I mean that's not even close to being true. He doesn't even have close to the arm that Cam Newton has, and he can't run like Cam Newton. So I don't really know where he's getting his information from, what he's thinking. But to me, that makes no sense.
What about you, Darius?
I mean, you already know what I think on that one. And this is my team, and I still, I'm honest though, man. And I get a lot of heat from Cowboys fans too. But no, he's not. Dak is Dak.
There's a place to be honest, and there's a place to be biased. Like when you're really winning or really losing, that's when you have fun with it. Like when Seattle was on top, I had fun with it. When we're on the very bottom, I had fun with it.
Right.
Middle, that struggle, that you out there grinding. Sometimes you got to be real about it. Let's go ahead and move off of Dak, though. I mean, all the media is talking about Dak. Everybody knows about Dak. But what other things are you seeing right now with this Dallas team that worries you and maybe gives you some worries about this season? I know for me, I'm not a fan of your coaching, and I think that's a big handcuff for you guys. I truly believe that a new direction needs to come, but I do like your defensive line. Mm-hmm. I think you got a lot of stars there. In fact, Coward was saying yesterday, I believe, on the Herd, you guys have so much depth at the pass rushing. You guys could use that for trade leverage as well when it comes time for the draft. So I don't know how you feel about your team outside of Dak and Zeke, the more popular of the team. But what's your feelings going into the rest of this season? I mean, the quarter mark is coming up next week. What are you feeling?
I mean, I feel that the coaching staff does deserve a hell of a lot of scrutiny. But again, when you're on the outside looking in, it's kind of hard for me to judge this coaching staff as opposed to others, because we really know whose hand's in the cookie jar, and that's Jerry Jones. So some decisions you may say, okay, Jason Garrett's an idiot because he did this or that, or he didn't bring this guy in, or why would you bring in the kid Kellen Moore to coach Dak, so on, right? A lot of decisions that have been made that you generally would blame on a coaching staff on other teams. On this team, you would probably see Jerry Jones overlook some of those things because he knows that those were his decisions and not decisions made by Jason Garrett. So that's why Garrett has probably kept his job for so long, because some of the things that we think are bonehead Garrett moves are
we
actually
know who
bonehead.
it really came from, right?
Exactly.
How can you fire someone for doing what you told him to do?
Exactly. So you can't
That
do
happens
that.
all the time, though.
Right. Like, I think Jason Garrett would be fired right now with Dak's performance after not allowing Tony Romo to compete for his job back in 2016, if that was actually Jason Garrett that made that decision. I think it was more so Jerry Jones and those guys saying, hey, we can save some money if we can get a guy in here who's on a rookie contract, who can play like that, who can at least play serviceably enough for us to win. So they made a business decision then, and I think that was more Jerry than it was this coaching staff. But with that said, the in-game decision-making and the lack of discipline that this offense shows, the lack of execution that this offense shows outside of Dak Prescott, does make me think that we just need we need someone who's not afraid to come in, work within whatever world Jerry's created over there, but still bring an element or a personality that can affect change overall. Because I think Chris Richard's definitely done that, along with Rod Marinelli on the defense. I don't have a problem with our defense. I don't really care if we get Earl Thomas. I don't think that's where our problems lie. I think our problems lie generally on the philosophy on offense, along with and some of that could be Dak not being able to do some of the things you want to do, because I noticed in the film they ran a lot of comeback routes, a lot of button hooks over and over and over again, because those are the only plays he's comfortable throwing. You know, when your receiver's just standing there saying, hey, throw me the ball, that's when he throws the ball. He's not throwing anticipatory throws at all. So you can't call a post pattern or a timing route when the guy is just going to wait for his man to be all the way open. And I know you guys probably played football, so you know, they tell you if your quarterback's, the ball's not on the way when you come out of your break, then it's late. Period. Yeah. So when you see those comeback routes and guys are standing there like this, like they're on Gilligan's Island, that's late. That's real late.
Definitely.
You shouldn't see his face when you throw the ball.
Now, I mean, we've heard about Jason Garrett being on the hot seat for years now. Every single year it seems like if they don't win 10 games or so, they say, is Jason Garrett keeping his job? Well, at what point does that come true, do you think?
I think this year is the year for everyone offensively. Number one, I think we've had a large enough sample size to determine whether or not this is working, both with Dak, with Jason, and so on. And they've actually run out of excuses. There's not really too many holes for them to crawl in at this point. You can't hide behind ineptitude at wide receiver, because you got rid of your problem receiver in Dez, right? He wasn't a problem, in my opinion, but they got rid of him nonetheless. So you can't hide behind that excuse. You can't say, and it's crazy if they try it, but you can't say that the receivers aren't good enough and we need better receivers in here after what they did with Dez. Because I don't care what anybody says with that. I don't think Jarvis Landry, Allen Robinson, or what's the kid's name from KC that just got signed?
Watkins?
Sammy Watkins. I don't think those guys are better than Dez today. I don't. I really don't. I would take Dez right now over Sammy Watkins. I would take Dez right now. Oh, yeah.
I mean, I think Dez.
I've never seen Sammy Watkins do anything.
I think Dez is a solid number 2, and I was actually having this conversation with Paul yesterday. He hasn't lost his ability to play. He could go to any team and play, but he's like a 2-3 now. He's not a 1 anymore. I don't think he still has his speed. I don't think he still has his same. He doesn't have the speed. Abilities.
I agree with that. He doesn't have a big
body.
But I don't like, this is the thing that people keep doing with that. They look at him in the vacuum, but look at everyone else with all the gray, added in. It's not a black and white thing. I believe in cause and effect. Dez was Dez until he met Dak. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, it was a change of a QB. A big
whispers of Dez not being who he was came in. But I take people back, and I've done this in a lot of videos, but I take people back to 2016, Dak's first year. People say, "Oh, Dez hasn't, he hasn't had over."
I was watching your videos last night of the Dez can't run routes. Dez can't. What was it? It was another one, but I did watch.
Dez not guilty. Those.
Yeah. So I mean, I did see a lot of it, and you could see that it was a lot of the I mean, it's the growing bonds between any QB and wide receiver, though.
Correct.
You get a new QB, and I mean, we're surprised that Baker was able to get out there and even connect with QB. I mean, these wide receivers without practicing with the ones. The reason why people were surprised is because you need that connection. So I understand that. Honestly, I think Dez should be on a team. I'm really surprised that he's not. I think the Cowboys burned him a little bit, and
definitely.
I think that's messed up for what he's done for that fan base and for that organization. He definitely should be somewhere, but time will tell. The trade deadline is, it's still some distance between then. Let me ask you this.
Go ahead.
If you could have any trade between now and the trade deadline, one trade in this NFL, who do you think would be the best to assist your Cowboys team to actually fighting for that wild card or to win your division?
Oh, that's a tough one. I mean, the obvious answer that everyone wants to hear is Earl Thomas, obviously. But I really, with the way the defense is playing, will he help? Oh, of course, he'll help. He'll turn us into a whole new monster. But I think we have so many issues on offense. I keep feeling that I need to say, a veteran QB behind Dak. I think that's what we need. Because number one, you were talking about how he doesn't run like Cam Newton. He doesn't, but he's not running like Dak either because he's injured. So I thought about the fact that if he does go down or if we need to bench him, who we're benching him for. So
that's a good question.
I like the idea that Ryan Fitzpatrick is coming back. Not coming back, but he's going back to the bench after Jameis Winston is ready to play, most likely.
You think so?
You think
so?
Yeah.
Oh, we might have to deter this from Cowboys talk because I think he certified it last night. I
think he should. He should have the job.
Another 400 yards. That's no one in the 99 years of existence in the NFL has done that. So
he's playing like a man possessed. He looked like one yesterday.
Here's what Shannon Sharp said today that really caught my ear. Do the Bucs want to lose because Fitzpatrick throws 400 yards and some picks, or do they want to lose because Jameis Winston throws picks and no yards? And it made me think, because what has Winston done? He throws picks just like Fitzpatrick, but at least Fitzpatrick has that chemistry with Evans, with Howard, with Jackson.
He makes that offense look like a whole new offense, just like Mayfield made the Browns look real. So we need it. Yeah, they look real. I like the Browns. This year for real. I like I love Ty Haley, so I knew I was going to watch them. I like Greg Williams because I like violence for some reason. I felt like when they brought those guys in, I was like, oh, this is going to be good. I actually wanted Dez to go there too, but I say that to say we definitely need a quarterback that can come in, and even if he's not going to start or play, we need someone who can get into Dak's ear and kind of coach him along the way. I think they started looking at Dak as if he was a veteran who already knew everything, and he's not. He needs somebody to kind of school him to certain aspects of the game live while he's in the game. Like, hey, listen, you have this open. If you just look left, you're going to stare down your receivers anyway. Just fake like you're staring down your guy to the left this time. Stare down Coach Beasley, and then look left real quick and throw to Thompson deep. Just do it. He doesn't have anybody that's like, putting a fire under his ass. And one thing that you guys should pay attention to, Dak wasn't brought into Mississippi State to start. He was brought in to be a backup. Quarterback got hurt. He came in and he balled because Dak plays better with pressure, with that type of pressure. He wasn't brought here to start. He was brought here to be a backup or a developmental quarterback that, was serviceable if Romo were to go down. And then he wanted to keep the job, so he balled. The moment we gave Dak the keys to the castle and said, hey, it's your job, he hasn't looked the same. So I think bringing someone in who could sort of light that fire under his ass might bring the best out of Dak, or at least gives us the insurance that we need if we need to pull him to get to the playoffs, because I feel like wasting that defense, like you said, we're deep on defense all the way across the board. We're 5 deep at linebacker. We have a guy like Jordan Lewis, who's one of my favorite D-backs, sitting on the bench, hasn't even seen any playing time. That's how deep we are on defense.
Are you worried about the recent injury on Sean Lee? This is 2 years in a row that hamstring is shown. Is it the hamstring?
Yeah, it's a hamstring.
The hamstring has been causing him issues for over a year now. And when he's not on the field, you're a completely different team defensively.
Well, we used to
quarterback.
We used to be. I really
you like
now.
that rookie?
Vander Esch, man, he looks good.
I like him in space. I don't like Vander Esch in a mess. Like Sean Lee and Jalen Smith, Joe Thomas, those guys can kind of ski through the trash and get to the ball. Vander Esch is a guy that he can, he's great, a great cover two. He's a great coverage linebacker. I don't think he's a guy that I like taking on blocks yet. He's not there yet. But I think even with Lee gone, having Vander Esch out there, we're serviceable. Having Joe Thomas out there. Joe Thomas is one of my favorite linebackers on this team, and I think we would have more turnovers if we gave him more playing time. So I'm not afraid of Lee being out right now because of that. Last year, you're right, we didn't have the depth. We had a guy in Jalen Smith trying to, overcome an injury and learn the game in the game. So last year was a lot different than it would be this year. I'm not really worried about I call him going with the wind because I said I said on Twitter like the wind blew him too hard and he got hurt because I don't know where he got hurt this game, but yeah, he's always hurt.
It happened suddenly. He just disappeared in the second half, and I remember when I saw it, I said, "Well, there goes a chance of them coming back." Because I really thought that was when I saw that because he's a major force. But you're right, the rookies, the young talent, the new team members. I mean, your defense is much better. So we're close to the end of this. So I want to switch it a little bit up to your division itself. You are in a division with some strong competition. Now, the Giants, not so much. I don't, me and Paul have talked about it. We don't think they're that great. I mean,
they haven't gelled yet offensively.
They have talent, but I think they need to move on from Eli, and I think Eli is a problem there. But the Redskins are showing – it's a little inconsistent, but they're showing strength. I mean, one week they destroy the Packers. The next week they can't handle themselves. But it is inconsistent battling. But the Eagles, Wentz comes back. He's rusty, threw a pick, but he was accurate. He was moving in the rain, and he was able to win the game. And hey, what matters? W's matters. Right. So, what are you feeling about this division this year? Do you guys think that you have the ability to come up and take it? Do you think this is going to be a wild card year, or is this a bust year and a rebuild year?
I mean, defensively, I feel like I'm overly confident. I feel like we could do a lot of things with this defense. I haven't seen guys fly around the ball like this in a while, especially in a Cowboys uniform. I don't think ever in a Cowboys uniform. And that's judging the Super Bowl defenses we had, too. This is one of the better defenses I've ever seen us have. So defensively, I feel like we can compete with anybody in the league, our division or whatever. Offensively, it's going to be a tough climb because the one problem in this division that we have is every team in this division is built to beat us. And when I say built, I mean they're built to try to stop the run and limit the pass. They all have, serviceable secondaries, but great up front. Their front sevens are pretty strong and stout. So Washington's strong. The Eagles' front four is crazy. And then, the Giants, you see how they play us. They play us tough every time either way. You're going to get injured or someone's, going to feel it when they play us. So with this division, as long as we can keep games competitive, run the ball, keep games close, we have a shot to win any game because Dak seems to turn it on only in the fourth quarter. He'll have 40 yards in the game and then put up another 120 in the fourth quarter, and that's it, right, when we start running the hurry up. So as long as we can keep games close and make it so that we're either playing with a lead or playing in a position where Dak does not have to put the game on his arm, we have a shot. That is easier said than done, though. So we might slide into the playoffs, but I'm just being realistic. We might slide into the playoffs unless there's a switch that we haven't seen that can get to. And people think I hate on him, but I really am hoping that this isn't it, because if it is, that's a waste. This is a waste of some of the most talent that I've seen on defense in a while, and these guys aren't all going to be here next year, as you said. So I think that would be a waste of a team. I would be utterly pissed off if we don't put something serviceable together offensively.
Last question for you. Do the Cowboys draft a quarterback this offseason?
Well, we drafted one this offseason, so I think, yeah.
I'm talking, should I say, do the Cowboys look for Dak's replacement? If he doesn't pick it up this season, if he stays what he's been outside of his rookie year, is it time to go hunting? And does Dak get that option?
I think this is just my scenario. If it were my team, the best thing to do, to me, would be go out and grab a veteran quarterback that can play with his team right now. I wouldn't fire the coaches. I wouldn't blow the team up because then we're really rebuilding. We have something there. So I would go out and get a veteran quarterback that knows how to say, Linehan, get out of here. Jason, you go ahead somewhere, whatever, right? And let me just do what I do like Romo used to. But we need a veteran quarterback that knows what he's doing on the field. Allow Dak to sit behind him and learn if he can humble himself enough to do that, and then
That
see
might
what
be
he
hard.
had.
That
Yeah,
might
it
be hard.
might be hard, but
Once you've
that's
had
the
that stardom and you've had that celebrity. But I
right.
mean, hey, it happened. I mean, it happened
But
to Alex Smith.
that's the best bet for us, though. I don't think going out and getting a rookie is always the answer because it depends on who you can get. If we can get Tua, that kid Tua, to I don't know how to say his last name.
Oh, from Bama, yeah.
Yeah, if we can go out and get somebody like that, then yeah, okay, let's draft a quarterback. But that means we would have to really bomb this year to be able to qualify for a top draft pick.
Or you
So,
trade. You've got.
or we
We
trade.
talked about it.
That's
You
true.
guys got a lot of pass rushers.
Yeah,
Well,
we can.
and to your point too, I mean, just because Ryan Fitzpatrick, whether he continues to start for Tampa Bay this year or not, he could be on the market next year to avoid controversy. So that's a
Right.
possibility for the future, you know.
Right. Like we did with Vinny. You guys had Vinny Testaverde too at the Browns back in the day. So
Yeah.
like we did with Vinny Testaverde. You bring a guy in there that you know can play. You get your some playoff wins, or you get your 10-6 season and going, and then sort of like the Bills just did with Josh Allen. They had Tyrod Taylor as a veteran coming in and just keeping this team relevant, and then bring someone in later on who can sort of carry the torch. But I honestly think that if Dak plays the next 4 games the way he played the first 3, he should be out of here. Period.
Right.
I don't care if we win or not. I mean, even if we make
Right.
the playoffs and he's still averaging 170 and we somehow figure out a way to Trenton Dilfer it
Right.
into the playoffs, get him out of here.
You
Hey,
can't win without a quarterback these days. You can't.
Right.
That is the
Right.
truth. Well, Darius, hey, we appreciate you coming on with us. You're the very first of this series, and I want to
I
just let
appreciate
you
that
know
too.
right now, you've set the bar. Guys, if you're watching and you're a fan, pay attention. My man knows his football knowledge. He knows what's going on. He knows his players. That's what we want. We want great knowledge here. We want good, let's get it going and talk football. You guys make sure you go to his YouTube page, Okoye Media.
Yes, sir.
Okoye Media, if you're a Cowboys fan or if you just enjoy football talk like myself, like Paul. We are extremely very humble that he was willing to come on here. You guys enjoy the rest of the podcast. We're going to go ahead and get back to Mike. So, future Mike, back to you.
Appreciate y'all, man. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for coming in.
No doubt. No doubt. Thank you, Paul. Thanks, Mike.
Hey, thanks again to Darius for coming in. Again, he's with Okoye Media. That's AKOYE space media. You can find him on YouTube. He puts Cowboys videos up all the time, and they're great.
Yeah, and he's also on Twitter. Not to mention, I know he kind of plugged it as well, but definitely check him out. We're extremely grateful for him. Now, just to let you guys know, we mentioned this is going to be once a week, every Wednesday. Now, since this is the very first week, and that's a Cowboys fan we just had on. Obviously, we have to stir the pot up a little bit, and we're going to bring on Friday's episode an Eagles fan on. We're doing an Eagles episode on Friday prior to the picks. We're going to have disgruntled Eagles fan. He has a YouTube page as well. He's going to be on here. So definitely make sure you come back Friday to check that out. So let's go ahead and see what the Eagles got to say about their season. Let's find out what their perspective is of Wentz coming back and all this different things. So let's go ahead and now that we've got all that covered, 15 minutes of fan out of the way, let's dive into Thursday night's game. Paul, this one's an interesting one here. We've got the LA Rams, who we know are dangerous. 3-0, offensive, defensive, great running back. And then we have the Vikings, who we thought was one of the most dangerous teams. We considered one of the most complete teams, but first we see them get blown out by the Bills. Well, not first, but most recently. Prior to that, they get a tie against a Packers team that's not that good. Let's be honest. Yes,
Right.
With Aaron Rodgers, they're better. But let's look at let's go ahead and jump real quick. I know that this is a game preview, but screw that. We're freestyling. The Packers against the Bears week 1 looked terrible, except for the final quarter. Final quarter, Aaron did Aaron. But that can also be blamed on a Bears team that has also been struggling this year, other than beating Seattle. Then the Packers get smacked up for acting up with the Redskins. And they just get a bit. I mean, they got their butt whooped. So this Packers team ain't that good, but they tied with the Vikings, and the Vikings got their butt whooped by the Bills, and then tied. So here's the thing: I think the Rams are gonna whoop their butt. I'll be honest with you. The Vikings, I don't something they're not the Vikings that we thought they were coming into the week 1 of this season.
No, I think you're right. I don't know what it is, but maybe we're overreacting just based on, I mean, they had a bad game. They had a really bad game.
Bad.
Like, I think that's still an undersell.
But then prior to that, what about that's what I mean, though. That's why I wanted to point out their game against the Packers and
well, that's a division rivalry, though. That's a huge rivalry.
Yeah, I get that. I just want to make sure we point out that we have not seen the Vikings that,
right.
That we're supposed to see. Not yet. So I don't know. I expect to see a lot out of this game, though. This is the Thursday night game. It's a short week for some of these guys. So I'm hoping that we see something really good like we saw last Thursday with the Browns and the Jets.
Oh, great game.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully we get that. Hopefully we see a little Jared Goff out there with Woods. Listen to me, Goff. I know you're listening. Hey, I know we only got a couple hundred people right now, but I know it's Goff. You're one of them. Look, I've got Woods in my fantasy, and I need some help, man. I need you to. You hooked it up last week. I had like 25 or 26.
And he was on your bench, wasn't he?
Yeah. Because the week before, the week before he was not, he embarrassed me on the week before. So I don't know. Yeah, but seriously, honestly, against the Vikings, though, I see them running the ball heavy. I hope that they do get TG in there, get him in there hard, give him the ball 20 times, maybe 25 times. Let that man dominate that ball. Let that man dominate that team, and then put pressure on Kirk Cousins, get to him, rattle him a little bit. The Rams got a defense. But see, here's the thing, though, and I talked about it earlier. On Monday's show, I said the Rams haven't faced a solid defense yet. Tonight or Thursday night might be I'm interested. This is going to be an interesting game.
Right. The Vikings are going to be a little shorthanded. Everson Griffin won't be playing. I know he's going through some things right now, and he probably will be playing. But their defense is still, I mean, even without him, they're still really good. I mean, you can't be called one of the most complete rosters in the league, and then one guy goes down and you're out, right?
Yeah, that
would still a good defense.
That would be against the purpose, right?
But so this is the Rams' chance to really prove themselves, and I think they will too. I think you're right. I think the Rams are going to really come out strong. I think offensively they're way better coached. Now, maybe that's what's going on with the Vikings. Maybe Pat Shurmur leaving has actually left a void, right? Maybe there is a real thing with Pat Shurmur. Now, so far in New York, we haven't really seen it yet, but maybe that's to come still. Either way, Rams got this one for sure. Rams are going to win the NFC West. I'm going to keep saying that and keep bugging you with it. And I think that's what we're looking at.
I mean, I can say that, hey, my bank account's going to grow 6 figures. It doesn't magically happen. It doesn't just happen overnight. I can't speak that into existence. Look, Rams got to come through Seattle twice, and I don't want to take the fire from them tonight. This is their night. They're headed out there to fight the Vikings, and that's, hey, do your thing, Rams. But just remember, this is our division. You won it for the first time in a long time. Congratulations. But it's still our division. We're daddy.
No, they won last year.
That's what I said. You won it one time. Look, man.
Right. So you're gonna say you're still daddy, but they're reigning champs.
I don't care about all that reigning champs crap. Listen to me. We are daddy. That's point blank. Period.
You don't look like it.
Hey, I don't want to talk about that. We'll talk about that on Friday's show. But no, guys, hey, so that's our picks for the Thursday night game. I hope you guys enjoyed this show. It's just us having fun. Like I said, we wanted to lighten it up a little bit and just kind of just hang out with you guys and open up this new segment. That's what we're really excited about. I hope you guys enjoyed Darius and the information and what we broke down. And guess what? Friday is going to be just as good. We're going to talk Eagles. We're going to talk game picks for Sunday. We're going to go ahead and break down this Thursday night game. Paul, what do you got for him before we head out?
Hey, don't forget, go follow, subscribe Darius at Okoye Media on YouTube. That's Akoye.
And then go like, follow, share all of our content. Look, we're going to keep giving you content. We're going to keep coming at you with as much stuff as possible, but we need to see something. We need to see that it's actually being listened to, that people actually enjoy it, that people want more content. If we don't get that, there's no reason to continue doing this, and then suddenly we disappear, and then you're like, man, I miss MVP. So like it, follow, share, comment, do everything you got to do. We're going to see you guys. Yes, sir. We're going to see you guys on Friday. This is Mike Pagano. That's Paul Helmers. This is MVP News. Have a good night.